Florida Senator Marco Rubio has gained two more endorsements ahead of tonight's debate. One from New Mexico's Governor Susana Martinez, the other from his hometown paper, the Miami Herald. Of course, Rubio is facing a lot of pressure to win his home state of Florida on March 15th, a state that polls show he currently loses to Donald Trump. Marco Rubio's campaign spokeswoman Caitlin Conant joins me now from Detroit ahead of tonight's big debate. Great to see you today, Caitlin.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Contessa.
So that's great news about the endorsements, but the bad news is he's trailing in delegate counts. He's only won one state so far, and when you look at the overall delegate doled out, Trump has 324, Cruz comes in with 230, Marco Rubio with 111. What can he say tonight on that debate stage, Caitlin, that would change his trajectory?
Look, Marco Rubio is going to have a great debate tonight. I think when he's talking about policy and the issues that matter to working families and that matter to how to keep us safe, he always shines. But look, when you talk about the delegate count, Donald Trump is far away from the 1237 number. Ted Cruz is as well. So I think you need to ask the same thing of them. And we're feeling really good. We've racked up a ton of delegates. We played a lot of away games last week. We always knew on Tuesday that Super Tuesday was going to be a challenge for us. But moving forward, we're going to continue to gain momentum. He's going to have a great debate tonight. And on March 15th, he's going to bring home his home state of Florida. It's his home turf. He knows the state better than anyone else. He's won it as an underdog before, and he's going to do it again.
The Miami Herald said in endorsing him, "We underlined the potential to be the kind of statesman Floridians can be proud to call a native son." I want to play part of what he has said in a campaign stump speech in just the last week.
He doesn't sweat because his pores are clogged from the spray tan that he uses. Donald is not going to make America great. He's going to make America orange. The next thing, now, the other thing he says, he's always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me. He's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2". Have you seen his hands? They're like this. And you know what they say about men with small hands? You can't trust them. You can't trust them. You can't.
Is that the kind of strategy, the kind of political attack Floridians will be proud of their native son for?
Look, Donald Trump is a bully. He loves to attack people's personal appearances. He can't talk about policy. So if he's going to take those attacks at Marco Rubio, we're going to stand up to him and show him that we can fight back. But at the end of the day, Marco is here to remind people about his differences with Donald Trump. And that is that he is a serious person with serious solutions to address the serious issues our country faces. Donald Trump, as Marco exposed in the last debate, does not have plans to deal with any of this. And tonight we're going to continue to point those things out. If he has a plan to repeal Obamacare, we want him to talk about it. If he has a plan to fight ISIS, we want him to talk about it. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump seems to just be a bully. And, you know, if Marco has to stoop to that level sometimes to fight back, he's going to. But we're going to just try and break through and continue to talk about policy as much as we can.
So the strategy is to get down and dirty in the mud with Donald Trump.
The strategy is for more people at home to just keep being reminded that Donald Trump is a con man and that Marco Rubio is actually the one person up here who can beat him. And we're going to continue to do that. And I feel really good about tonight's debate. We feel really good as we're heading into March 15th. And, you know, Marco Rubio's got a great campaign. We're competing to win in all 50 states. And as I said before, we always knew that Tuesday was going to be challenging for us. But we're turning the page and we're moving forward. And the map is a lot more favorable for us as we move ahead. The states look a lot more like Virginia than they did than the southern states.
I want to ask you about a Michigan issue that's really tearing the state apart, and that's the water crisis in Flint. The EPA has come under some scrutiny for not taking action and going in. Has Senator Rubio expressed an opinion about what he thinks the president should do about that situation?
You know, Marco Rubio talked to the Detroit News about this. You can look up at his comments before, and I'm sure he's going to talk about that again tonight.
All right, moving on to the strategy here to win and the big fight ahead of him, not just the debate tonight, but he's got contests this weekend and again, Florida coming up. And a Florida poll right now shows, and Quinnipiac poll shows that Donald Trump has by far and away the strongest amount of support here. 44% of likely primary voters supporting Trump to Rubio's 28%. There are 99 votes up for grabs here in Florida. What does that mean for Marco Rubio. How does he turn around that kind of deficit?
You know, just last week, Donald Trump was beating us in Virginia by double digits, but we ended up giving him a run for his money there. And we believe we're going to win Florida. You can mark my words for that. Marco Rubio is going to bring home the state. As I said before, he's competed there as an underdog in the past. He beat Charlie Crist. He's going to beat Donald Trump. And we feel really good about March 15th.
All right, and what we're seeing from Rupert Murdoch today, among many, many other Republican leaders, is a call for unity. He tweeted out that if Donald Trump ends up becoming the nominee, anybody who doesn't unify behind him is just mad. Here it is right here. As predicted, Trump reaching out to make peace with Republican establishment. If he becomes inevitable, party would be mad not to unify. Marco Rubio has said just recently that he would do anything to stop Donald Trump from being the nominee. What, if anything, means throwing his support behind Ted Cruz?
So Marco Rubio is going to stay in this race as long as he can to make sure that Donald Trump, this con artist, is not elected president of the United States. And as I said, Ted Cruz was supposed to have the best night of his campaign on Tuesday. He was supposed to sweep the SEC primary. He didn't do that, and the map is a lot less favorable to him moving forward. So Marco and Donald, I believe, are the only ones with a path forward, and Marco's going to stay in this as long as he can to make sure that he's not elected.
Why do you think that when Marco did more poorly than Ted Cruz did?
So we were playing on away games a lot last week. We never thought that we were going to do as well as Ted Cruz promised that he would. And Ted Cruz won his home state and a neighboring state. But he said time and time again that he was going to win Virginia and that he was going to sweep the SEC states. Should have been the best night of his campaign, and by his own expectations, it wasn't. So as we move forward, you know, I think we're going to see a lot of what we did in Virginia. We're going to get momentum when we win Florida, and the map just works in our favor.
What I'm saying, though, is that right now he's in third place, and in far third place when you're looking at the delegates, and only one state won so far, where Ted Cruz has won 4. If moving forward, keeping Donald Trump from being the nominee means one person up against Donald Trump and coalescing the support around that one anti-Trump candidate, doesn't it make sense that that would be Ted Cruz?
It's going to be Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is going to be the Republican nominee. He's going to continue to gain momentum, and he's going to win. As I said before, you know, he's the one person who can beat Donald Trump. He showed that in the debate last week. He's going to keep exposing him for what he is. And we look forward to a really good night tonight. And after the 15th, we're going to continue to pick up steam.
We're seeing flurries there behind you in Detroit. Caitlin, thank you so much for braving the cold to have a chat with us. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.